Hi ladies, have you ever caught yourself repeating the same pattern? Maybe it's snapping at your kids after a long day at work, doubting yourself after a big meeting, or procrastinating even though you know exactly what to do. As women, leaders, professionals, mums, we carry so much. And often these negative patterns or these repeating patterns can really stop us from showing up as who we really want to be. And the cost is not just the negative emotion in the moment, but it is the consequences and the emotional drain that follows. But the good news is these patterns can be interrupted. One of the most effective and popular techniques in NLP, which is what neurotransformational therapy is adapted from, is called the swish pattern. This swish pattern can be completed in as little as 5 minutes, and what it can do is interrupt an old pattern and replace it with the outcome that you really want. The swish pattern is a pattern interrupt. Every unwanted outcome, whether it's anxiety, overwhelm, avoidance, procrastination, reactivity, frustration, binge eating, you name it, is our mind running a strategy. Essentially, what's happening is a trigger or a cue is leading or sequencing towards an unwanted outcome. This might sound really odd, but it will make sense as we go along. A really great analogy to understand this is a train leaving the station and reaching a destination. The train always leaves the same station, it always ends up at the same destination via the same train track. The destination might give you short-term relief, but along the way, maybe you gained weight, maybe you avoided progress, maybe you end up in constant frustration or even failed relationships. An easy example to understand this is you see a chocolate bar, eating it gives you a feeling of ease and comfort, but maybe you gained weight if that's something that you're doing often. Another example that will help this make more sense is, let's say you come home from a long day at work and you see that the kitchen is messy. You see the kitchen, it's messy. You then have a thought in your mind that says, I've just worked all day and they can't even clean up for me, and now I'll have to do that as well. Following that thought, there may be an image that flashes in your mind very fast of a past experience, and that might bring up anger for you, so then you feel angry. That might then lead to the behavior, which let's say that's yelling at your kids. Now the key here is that between the trigger, which was seeing the messy kitchen, and the outcome, which was yelling at the children, there was a sequence that occurred, which was a thought, an image, and a feeling. All of this happened in light speed and unconsciously, but essentially this is what led to the outcome. Going back to our train analogy, you've left the station and you've gone along the same train track to reach that same destination. Now the swish pattern interrupts that track. The sequence breaks and a new strategy can now take its place. So now when you come home and see that messy kitchen, rather than you getting angry and yelling at the kids, your mind will actually flash a new image. Remember, there was an image in that sequence, and that image is empowering. So it's going to lead you to a new feeling and therefore a new behavior. Instead of leading you into anger and yelling, you will be led into a more calm feeling that will open up your mind to new choices on how to behave to get a better outcome for everybody. So this is the power of the swish pattern. It doesn't just interrupt the old negative pattern, but it installs a new empowering pattern leading to an outcome that you want. This also works for beliefs that you are holding in place causing a negative pattern. Let's just say that you have a belief that says, I cannot relax until the house is clean. You might come home and feel absolutely exhausted, but instead of letting yourself rest, you must clean this house. And the reason why you can't interrupt this is because, as Tony Robbins says, the strongest force in the human being is to stay consistent with our identity. So if you were able to relax while the house is messy, you would actually be going against that belief and against your identity, and that is very difficult for us as human beings. So here's the conflict. Your mind's strategy for creating peace, which is to push yourself to tidy the house before you allow yourself to rest, is actually working against you, because peace comes from restoration, not from exhaustion. So the swish pattern breaks the loop. It interrupts the automatic compulsion, which in this case is the urge to clean, or the guilt if you don't clean, and it installs a new image of you as a calm, grounded, and empowered person who knows how to create peace without sacrificing her or your well-being. So when you practice this, your mind always gets what it was chasing, which is peace, but through a healthier strategy. And when your well-being is restored, you naturally act from a calmer and more grounded place. So how does this work? You can do this yourself at home. First, we want to identify the trigger image or the cue image. We want to aim to get really clear on this because this is what's leading to the outcome. So if we get this wrong, we won't get the swish correct. Maybe it's seeing the light turn red on the road. Maybe it's seeing a full inbox, mess in the kitchen. Maybe it's seeing a particular person. Once you are clear on that image, we now want to create an image in your mind of your ideal self. This is really important. So this image is going to be who you want it to be. Is she empowered? Is she calm? Is she having fun? Is she grounded? These are all resources that you can infuse into this image. But what's really important is this image is context free. You are not anywhere in particular, doing anything in particular, wearing anything in particular. And this is important because if you do bring context into this image, the swish pattern will only work when that context is available to you. So essentially think about a passport image of you from the shoulders up with just a white background or one color that works for you. And you're just very general with your clothing, but you're infusing those resources into that image of who you want to show up as. And as time goes by and you practice this image, the stronger it will get. So if it doesn't feel strong in the beginning, don't worry too much, it will get better. Now we are going to do the swish. So essentially with this part, what you're going to do is you're going to put the old negative image up on the screen of your mind. So your eyes are closed. Fill the screen of your mind with the old image. And what we're going to do is get the ideal image of you and put it somewhere in the screen of your mind. Usually people prefer the bottom left, but you might feel better with that image being somewhere else. For me, it's kind of the bottom center. So we're going to make it very dim. So the ideal image of you is going to be dim, small, in a small box somewhere, maybe the bottom left of the screen of your mind, which is covered with the old image. And what we're going to do is I'm going to count to 3. And when I say swish, you're going to swap those images over. The new empowered image of you is going to blow up onto the screen and completely cover the screen of your mind in color, as the old image is going to shrink down and disappear. So closing your eyes and doing it as fast as 1, 2, 3, swish. And that's it. But you will repeat that 5 to 10 times. We want to do this quickly because doing it quickly is confusing. We need the brain to be confused because this will allow us to rewire those old neural pathways. So just remember that this is working because the brain is always linking cues to outcomes through neural pathways. The swish pattern literally rewires that old pathway, interrupting the old link and creating a new one. In neuroscience, this is called neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to form new connections. And this is why this can happen so quickly in as little as 5 minutes. So there are 2 ways to check if the swish pattern worked. In the short term, maybe you think about that old image and you can't even access it anymore, or maybe you can access it, but it's got no emotion to it anymore. Or maybe when you try to access it, you only see your ideal image pop up in the screen of your mind. The other way you might know it works in the long term is if you just go about your life and you just see if that old pattern arises again. If it does arise again, do not worry. It just means that the old track was really reinforced over years and you're still laying down the new one. So here's your challenge for this week. Choose one pattern that's frustrating you. It could be a state or it could be a behavior, but it's leading to an unwanted outcome. Do the swish on it and notice how you feel or what's different. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more strategies on how to improve your emotional well-being. And if you would like a guide running through the swish pattern, I've left a link in the description to access the PDF workbook. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.